So much. We'll go ahead and get started. Okay, let's go on the record. We're in the 9th Judicial District Court, State of New Mexico, County of Curry. And let me just stop and make sure, can the defendant hear the interpreter?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. This is cause number D905CR 2023-00407, State of New Mexico versus Fernando CHAVEZ-MOLINA. The defendant is present today. He is out of custody. He's with his attorney, Angelina Baca. Present for the state is Andy Reed. And we are set today for a plea hearing. We have the assistance of Esther Poblet as an interpreter for the defendant. And at this time, Ms. Poblet, I'm going to put you under oath. If you'll please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will truly and impartially interpret or translate from English to Spanish and from Spanish to English all questions and answers and matters pertaining to this cause in an understandable manner, using your best skills and judgment in accordance with the standards and ethics of the interpreter profession under penalty of law?
I do, Your Honor. Esther Poblet, Spanish interpreter, State of New Mexico.
Okay, thank you so much. If at any point there's an issue involving the interpreter, anything at all, and especially if the defendant loses contact with the interpreter, please let the court know immediately. Okay, so we are set today for a plea. I have the plea and disposition agreement in front of me. And Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, I'm going to be going over this plea with you in great detail. And at this point, I'm going to ask if you'll please stand and raise your right hand. I'm going to place you under oath. If you'll raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of law?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. You may have a seat. Please note that I am speaking at a slow pace to make sure that the interpreter has time to translate my words. I'll ask that anyone who addresses the court to do the same, please. Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, this calls for you to plead guilty to count 1, knowingly leaving the scene of an accident, causing great bodily harm or death, a 3rd-degree felony. And count 2, attempted tampering with evidence, a misdemeanor as amended. Do you understand that this plea calls for you to plead guilty to both of those charges?
Yes.
Now, as to the sentence, as to count 1, you would be subject to up to 3 years incarceration. And as to count 2, you'd be subject to up to 364 days of incarceration. Count 2 will run consecutive to count 1. So it'll run after count 1 for a total of 4 years in the Department of Corrections. The sentence is going to be an open argument. That means that your sentence could range anywhere from probation up to 4 years of incarceration. Do you understand that?
¿Entiendes that? Yes.
Okay, I'm going to ask if you can please slide a little bit. You need to be more in line with this mic if we can help him. No, don't touch that. Dan, can you help him slide? He needs to be on the edge of the table. Okay. Come slide a little more. Okay, right there. That way I can hear you better and so can the interpreter. But I will ask you to speak up as well. Okay, sir?
Okay. Sí. Okay. Okay, yes, all right.
Okay, so just to say it again, do you understand that we're going to have a discussion and your sentence could be anywhere from probation up to 4 years of incarceration?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And if you are placed on probation, I'll go over details of that with you. And you also need to understand that count 1 has a parole period of 2 years. Do you understand that, sir?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand that the sentence you receive will be completely up to me? And I'm going to hear argument about that here in a moment.
Sí. Sí.
Yes.
Okay. Now, there'll be certain things that no matter what my sentence is, that you'll have to do. It wasn't spelled out in your plea, but there is going to be a $100 DNA fee, and you will need to submit a biological specimen. And there will also be a $10 court facilities fee. Do you understand that?
Sí. Sí. Sí.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You can just answer once and then let the interpreter tell me your answer. You don't have to keep saying it. Thank you. You are agreeing to make restitution in this case on all charges, whether or not dismissed or not filed pursuant to this agreement. Do you understand that, sir?
Sí.
Yes.
The plea agreement that I have has been signed by you. Do you remember signing this plea agreement?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, now to enter into this plea, I want to make sure you understand you are waiving certain rights. First, I want to make sure you understand that had you been convicted at trial, you would have faced a sentence ranging from a suspended sentence up to a maximum of 6 years in prison, a $10,000 fine, and 2 years of parole. Do you understand that, sir?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you understand that by pleading guilty today, you are waiving your right to have a jury trial?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you understand that you are waiving your right to the assistance of an attorney at all stages of the proceedings and to an appointed attorney to be furnished free of charge if you cannot afford one?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you understand that you are waiving the right to confront the witnesses against you and to cross-examine them as to the truthfulness of their testimony?
Sí. Sí.
Yes. Yes.
Do you understand that you are waiving the right to present evidence on your own behalf and have the state compel witnesses of your choosing to appear and testify?
Sí.
Yes.
Do you understand you are waiving your right to remain silent and be presumed innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt?
Sí.
Yes.
As to factual basis, Ms. Reed?
I'll try to go slow. On November 23rd, 2023, at about 1948 hours, the Clovis Police received a phone call via dispatch about a possible motor vehicle crash with injuries approximately 2 miles south of Brady Avenue on Curry Road K. They had received this call from Juan Sanchez Soto, who told them that an employee at the Opportunity Dairy had communicated to other employees that he had been involved in a crash with a female on a bike and was not aware of any injuries she may have sustained. They also provided dispatch to the law enforcement with a photo of a blue Mustang with a racing stripe and damage along the passenger side, including a large hole in the windshield, scrapes along the passenger side bumper and hood, and signs of a cracked plastic on the bumper. Officers responded to the location where they located fragments of a bicycle and a deceased female subject nearby. No other vehicle was present at that time. The officers found pieces of blue plastic that appeared to be consistent with the bumper from the photo, many pieces of clothing, bicycle parts, miscellaneous food items, shoes, dentures, and a deceased female body wearing only jeans and one sock. The officers were able to locate the approximate point of impact on the roadway, which is a tire mark that it was about a foot in length. So Officer Investigator Cook learned that the employee who had been communicating with him and in telling others that he had hit a female was a person by the name of Fernando CHAVEZ-MOLINA, who we now know as the defendant, and that he drove a blue Ford Mustang with a white stripe that bears New Mexico registration. I won't go into the number. At some point at 0054 hours, dispatch advised that the driver from the fatal crash was in the lobby and needed a translator. They talked to him. He disclosed that the vehicle was presently parked at 1404 Roosevelt Road P in Roosevelt County. So they sent someone to locate that vehicle. They talked to a Trinidad at Opportunity Dairy who would testify that, and all the dairy people that he had contact with, that the defendant was acting very strange at the dairy. He had stated that he had a white bag of food had possibly hit his car, and that's why there was food in his grill. But he did admit to some of the dairy workers that he felt he hit a lady. And they took pictures of his car, and you could observe all the damage that I previously discussed, and used video surveillance that was turned over by the dairy as to how he was acting at the dairy. They then took statements from his girlfriend. Her name is Yolanda Maria Calderon, and she received a call from him that night where he gave her a story of a white bag of food of some sort hitting her vehicle, or hitting the vehicle. She told the officer she didn't believe he was being truthful, but that he was not acting normal, and she didn't understand what he was saying because he was talking so loud. He then brought the car to her mother's house at that address. She asked if she could come out to the Opportunity Dairy to see what was wrong. He didn't want her to go out there. I believe she ultimately did respond and turned over his cell phone. When she got back to her mother's and saw the vehicle was there, she freaked out, and they kept encouraging him that he needed to go to the police department. An accident reconstructionist was hired in this matter, Kevin Clemens, who we would have called to testify had the matter gone to trial. He looked at all the photos, the statements, my reports, data recorder downloads, phone downloads, officer reports, and he made some conclusions. It appeared driver 1 had hit the bicycle in the rear, throwing driver 2 up and over the front into the windshield. Driver 2 was then thrown, or bicycle 2 was then thrown into the ditch and ended up approximately 200 feet of the point of impact and was pronounced dead at the scene. The lady, Miss Dawn Dozier's, who she was identified as, was found without any clothing on the upper part of her body. A red shirt, pullover, sweater, and bra were located south of the point of impact. These items were photographed. They looked at the tire marks, were able to determine a speed of 50 in a 55 mile per hour zone. Officers located many things on the scene. Plastic parts were located and collected in the area where the car appeared to have gone off in the ditch. Officers said a backpack was located. Gave that to Clemens to look at. He then reviewed and photographed the vehicles. The vehicle 1 was blue with 2 white stripes going from the front end to the rear. Photographs of the blue sweatshirt were reviewed. White paint transfer were found on the back of the sweatshirt. On the front of the hood, he located and photographed what appeared to be transferred from the sweatshirt onto the hood. He located and photographed what appeared to be white transfer on the back of the backpack. Pieces of glass were found on and inside the backpack. The backpack also had several holes and tears in it. There was also black transfer on the white stripe from the hood close to the windshield. This was photographed. The windshield had a hole located on the passenger side of the vehicle. The hole was about the same size as the backpack. The photographs showed a shoe was located inside the vehicle, behind the passenger seat and the passenger door. Officers said the shoe appeared to match the shoe that was collected on scene. Further review of the glass around the hole in the windshield, they found what appeared to be a few strands of hair. Officers said some of the hair was collected during the search warrant, and that was photographed. Dents were located and photographed on the roof of the car, just behind the passenger windshield. Paint was missing from this part of the area. The front bumper of the car was broken. The broken part of the bumper was consistent with hitting the rear wheel of the bicycle. Photographs also showed a flashlight and a yard light. It is unknown if these lights were attached to the bicycle. It is unknown if the lights were working at the time of the crash. Officers indicated at the time of the crash it was dark and there was no lighting in the area. He met with officers at the city complex to inspect the undercarriage of the Mustang. Several pieces located and collected in the ditch where the vehicle left the roadway matched the front of the Mustang. These pieces were photographed. Several pieces came from underneath the front of the bumper. 2 pieces came from under the right front wheel well. These pieces were also photographed, showing the location on the car where they came from. A small orange mark was located and photographed under wheel number 1 on the exhaust pipe. That mark appeared to be the same color as the frame of the bicycle. This would be consistent with the frame of the bicycle going under the vehicle after impact. They did get the event data recorder from the vehicle 1. They were not able to get the speeds, and they did not capture any data from the crash. In Clemens' opinion, if he did testify, his ultimate opinion would be that the driver of vehicle 1 was southbound when he struck vehicle 2. Vehicle 1 was straddling the west fog line when he struck vehicle 2. Vehicle 2, which is the bike, was in the southbound lane traveling south at impact. Driver 2 was thrown backwards onto the hood of the vehicle, sliding up the hood and into the windshield. Driver 2's backpack was caught in the windshield, and driver 2 continued over onto the roof of the vehicle number 1. Additionally, driver 2's backpack was caught in the windshield, causing driver 2's upper clothing and backpack to come off as she continued over the top of the vehicle into the ditch. It is his opinion that driver 2 going into the windshield, it would be obvious that vehicle 1 hit a person and should have stopped to render aid to driver 2. This is also consistent with the statements of the co-workers. We do also have that hair at the lab. We believe we halted testing on it because of the plea agreement, but we believe that hair would come back to be in the hair of Don Dosher.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. As the factual basis, Ms. Baca?
Your Honor, my client and I have gone over these reports in my office. We've gone over Mr. Clement's investigation report, and so we would concur with the statements made there, Your Honor. A death occurred, an accident occurred, and we would concur with the statements made as stated in the report, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Baca. I am going to find that there exists a basis in fact for believing the defendant is guilty of the offenses charged, and that an independent record for such factual basis has been made. Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, did anyone force you to enter into this plea agreement?
Está hablando ella, no estoy escuchando nada. Está hablando.
She can't hear her anymore.
No.
No, no one.
Okay, let me take a second and let me just ask Mr. Molina, was it just my last question that you couldn't hear, or have you not been able to hear her for a while?
No, no escuché la pregunta.
Just a question.
Okay. And so I'll ask it again, just so the record's clear. Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, did anyone force you to enter into this plea?
No. No.
No,
Did anyone threaten you to enter into this plea?
No.
no,
Did anyone make you any promises other than what we've gone over on the record today?
No.
no,
Prior to coming here today, have you consumed any drugs or alcohol?
No.
no,
Have you consumed anything that may interfere with your ability to understand what's happening?
No.
no,
Do you feel like you fully understand your plea agreement?
Sí.
yes,
Do you have any questions about it at this time?
No.
no,
Okay, I'm going to make the finding that the defendant wishes to give up the constitutional rights of which he has been advised. I find that the defendant and prosecutor have entered into a plea agreement and that the defendant understands and consents to its terms. I find that the plea is voluntary and not the result of forced threats or promises other than the plea agreement. And I also find that under the circumstances, it is reasonable that the defendant plead guilty. Ms. Baca, are there any immigration issues?
There are, Your Honor. My client was born. Where were you born, Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA?
Ceballos,
¿En dónde está esto?
México. Ceballos, Durango.
Ceballos, Durango, Mexico.
Okay. You may
I would
continue.
advise the court, Your Honor, that through our LOPD immigration attorneys that we hire out for situations like this, we filed an application. We filed the proper request for monetary payment, and Ms. Brenda Villalpando is an immigration attorney out of El Paso, Texas. Had an opportunity to review the application, review any prior charges, which there are none, for Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, and reviewed the plea and the statutory law regarding these two pleas to these two counts, and she had the opportunity to advise my client and myself as far as immigration issues that would arise from taking such a plea. He is well aware of those things.
Thank you, Ms. Baca. Thank you for making that record. Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA, would you agree that you've had the opportunity to have any immigration or naturalization issues addressed before you took the plea today?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay, then I find that the defendant understands that a conviction may have an effect upon the defendant's immigration or naturalization status, and that the defendant is represented by counsel, and that the defendant has been advised by counsel of the immigration consequences of the plea. I'm going to note that this is not a SORNA case. I'm going to accept the plea agreement. I conclude that the defendant knowingly, voluntarily, and intelligently pleads guilty to the above charges, and the findings that I've made today shall be made part of the record. I would like to have it on the record in your own voice, Mr. CHAVEZ-MOLINA. How do you plead today to count one, knowingly leaving the scene of an accident?
Culpable.
Guilty.
And how do you plead today to count two, attempted tampering with evidence?
Los culpables.
Guilty.
Okay, I hereby find and adjudge the defendant guilty of count one and count two, as we've been addressing in court today. And we'll now turn our attention to sentencing, wherein the maximum penalty could be incarceration of up to 4 years. And I'll hear from the state first. Ms. Reed,
Your Honor, if I may approach with 3 photographs that
Yeah.
I've shown to,
you may.
actually. This is a picture of a license of Dawn Dozier, and then 2 photos of her on the scene of the.
Okay, I've received the 3 photos that you're referencing, Ms. Reed. You may
Thank you.
continue.
And Judge, I am going to be asking for the 4 years, but I would ask the court if it would be okay for the victims to give their statements first and then for me to summarize after.
That'll be just fine, thank you. Anyone who's going to address the court can come stand at the bench or at the bar there, and they will be handed a microphone. If you're going to address the court, please remember to speak slowly so that we can have the interpreter translate, and please also start by identifying yourself for the record.
My name's Carl Dozier. I'm Dawn Dozier's younger brother. And, I want you to know that she really took my, part of our family from us. She was loving and caring, and it just breaks my heart. And all day, Thanksgiving, And I just want to know, why didn't you stop? Why did you just keep going? I mean, you really did a number on our family over this. And I hope that you are remorseful, and I hope you can live with yourself, because I sure can't live with myself because you were bringing me to Thanksgiving dinner. So you really did a nice job on us. So I just want you to know that, and I hope you have just rotten dreams for the rest of your life.
Thank you, sir.
I have a letter that was written by Alicia Gutierrez. She says, "To whom it may concern, I just wanted everyone to know that I have known Dawn Dozier for many years. She only had one child when I first met her. My first husband and her husband were full-time military in El Paso, McGregor Range. So right before that, I had met her in Clovis, New Mexico. From day one that I had met her, she was so friendly and easy to get along with. Well, within the year, our husbands got sent to El Paso, Army National Guard, full-time. So we started hanging out, being there for each other, not having many family there. But she, by that time, got to meet all my family and me hers as well. Everyone loved her. But even when she lived away from me, we became close. She is more than a friend. She is my sister by heart. She was my number one, and I was hers. She always listened to me and used my advice in lots of different things. And yes, she liked to drink or go out partying once in a while, but always when she said, "Let's go," she never gave me a hard time. She had so much love to give. When she became a grandma with Nate, that was her whole world. That was her whole world changed. She loved all her grandbabies and her 2 children. She loved Paul differently than Irene, but they were her life. I know one thing. She would never turn her back at anyone. She will feed you or clothe you, keep you safe, and wouldn't have even asked her twice. That's what kind of person she was. I miss her so, so much. I don't get to see her or no phone calls. I wish I could go visit her at her little apartment. It was like a museum. She collected the weirdest stuff, but it was interesting. She also had her female dog that really loved her. They don't understand what's going on, feeling like she abandoned them. I really miss her so much. Can't even explain. Her 2 children are going through mental heartbreak without her. She was their rock. Even when you're having a bad day, one thing I know is she didn't deserve to die. The way that the man killed her and left her there like an animal. If it was an accident, call 911, but don't try to cover her like she didn't have many people who loved and miss her. I am upset because of all the once involved wife, his in-laws, and his work boss, employees too. Everyone need to be accountable for her death. She might have had a chance in life. Can't bring her back, but her loved ones and friends will know justice was served. The only thing she was doing that Thanksgiving evening was taking her brother, Carl, something to eat because he was sick with COVID and she didn't have a car. Like I said, she had a big heart and wanted her brother to still eat his Thanksgiving food and extras. When we went out there, you could still see food and her stuff scattered everywhere. I was at Red Arrow when a friend of ours, Alice, and our cousin Julia came and sat and told me they had to talk to me. So we walked outside. When they told me, I almost fainted. We felt and went to the area where it happened, but no one could go out there. The next day I went to her apartment and her daughter, Irene, and Nate were there. As soon as she seen me, she almost fell into my arms crying and heartbroken. I am like their second mother. Then a few minutes later, Paul, Don's son, got there. He just looked at me and said, "Why? Why? What were we going to do without Mom?" So what do I do but be there until my last breath? Hope justice is done. How can you go around living life when you've taken someone else's life like they were nothing? I could go on and on about Dawn, but it hurts that she is not here in this world, basically. I'm fighting breast cancer and my husband is fighting stomach cancer. I know she would be here for me no matter what, and now she is gone. Her children have been so supportive to me and helping in any way they can. I see so much of Dawn and her daughter Irene, but it still hurts to know we need to go on without Dawn. I will always have love and a broken heart without my sister/friend Dawn Dozier.
Thank you.
Dawn was my friend, and you took her from me. I hope you have remorse. She was a good lady. She would give you her shirt off her back. She'd come over every morning for coffee. She'd hang out with me. She'd come and see me at night. I hope and I pray that God gives you peace for this, because all of us are devastated.
For the record, what is your name?
Eva Baca.
Can you say it to the mic, please?
Eva Baca.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Irene. I'm Dawn's daughter, and my brother couldn't make it today. So, on behalf of my brother and I, we would like to thank our friends and family for your loyal and undying support for the loss of our mother. The actions of Mr. Molina have affected the life of our family greatly. Since the day of the crime that was committed, we have lost a part of our life that we can never get back. We could find it in our hearts to forgive you of this crime, however, not rendering aid makes this difficult because it showed a lack of human empathy and responsibility. You need to serve the maximum time because at least you will get to see your family, friends, and loved ones after doing the time. We need to get back to what this country was founded on, and that is the rule of law. Our mother would still be here if illegal immigrants weren't allowed in this country. There are many cases where this seems to be the normal. She left great-grandchildren behind that she didn't get to meet. If this weighs heavy on you, Mr. Molina, it should because we will never get her back. Dawn Renee Dozier was a loving mother first and loved unconditionally whoever came into her life. If you ever got to meet our mother, consider yourself the lucky one because she would give you the shirt off her back and serve others as Christ wanted us to. She was loved by her job and her clients she cared for. She will be greatly